Welcome back to the Outfit Repeaters podcast. I'm Megan.
And I'm Shelby.
And we are your hosts. Today we will be recapping Season 1, Episode 13, Come Fly With Me. Before we get there, Shelby, what are you reading? What are you watching?
So physically reading A Court of Mist and Fury still. I'm hoping I'm going to finish it within the next few weeks. I don't know. Who knows? I get a lot of reading done when I'm out of school in the summer. And then I'm still didn't make any progress on How to Hang a Witch. If you haven't listened to last week's episode, the title sounds gnarly, but it's a really cool. It's like I said last week. It's where historical fiction meets Mean Girls. So yeah, I'm excited to read more about that one. Audiobook. I finished Her Knight in Shining Armor, or no. Her Night at the Museum, with the Knight with a K, like Shining Armor Knight. It was okay. I'd give it like a 3 out of 5 on Goodreads. Okay. I'm just, as much as I love Hallmark movies, I just am not like a cheesy romance novel fan, I don't think.
No.
I like having a little bit of depth.
And like a little bit of spice. Like I don't want icebreaker spice, but like I don't want G-rated Hallmark romance. Like I would love for them to kiss.
Yeah, and also it was a 12-hour audiobook, and I was
my gosh.
This book did not need to be 12 hours.
That feels excessive.
This could have been easily condensed to 6 hours, for sure. But yeah, and of course it had a happy ending because that's the way these things go. But I downloaded The Stepdaughter. I don't know which one it's about. It's the stepdaughter goes missing, but there's like mysterious text. I don't remember. I'm reading it for my teacher book club at school. Ooh. So that's what we're reading this month. So.
Okay, I have to look that up because that's another one that sounds like kind of familiar to me.
Yeah. I haven't gotten a new Frida, but she released a new book. The Tenant.
She did?
I think so. The Tenant.
Oh.
A Crazy Tenant. Who knows what Frida came up with this time. Oh, but I have a couple of, a new show and then a rewatch. Miles and I watched Running Point on Netflix with Kate Hudson. It's 10 episodes, and they're having a season 2, and it's about a female NBA owner. Kate Hudson becomes the first female to own or be president of an NBA team, which is just right up my league. It was so great. I thought it was hilarious. So if you're into that, then yeah, it's a good one. And then last one for my rewatch, because it came up on TikTok so much that I just had to rewatch it. Kim of Queens. I
haven't even heard of that.
Oh my gosh. It's like a healthier version of Dance Moms. It's pageants. But the teacher is not toxic, like Abby Lee Miller. And you know that because 10 years later, she still has a relationship with her girls. And like she talks to them and keeps up with them, and they all talk to her. So it is hysterical. I'll send you some of the clips. She's so funny. It was in Atlanta, so like Southern humor stuff. And like it's so funny. But all the episodes are on YouTube for free.
So I did end up finishing Wild Love by Elsie Silver last week, after we finished.
Is that the pink one?
Yes.
I have that book. I haven't read it.
She's got like multiple series. So this is the Rose Hill series. And then she's got the Chestnut Springs, which is like the Reckless, Flawless, like those. Have you read any of those yet?
I have the Flawless book, but I haven't
read
it.
So, like, it's not one of those things where they're, like, connected as far as, like, plot lines, but you get character crossover. So if you read Chestnut Springs first before you read Rose Hill, you'll get character crossover that you'll already have been introduced to some of those characters. So,
cool.
Which is not something that I knew, but my boss had mentioned it because she read them in reverse. She read Rose Hill first and then Chestnut Springs. But yeah, I just finished that last week. I did start Kingdom of Ash. I think I'm like 11 chapters in. It's okay. There's there's one plot line that I'm not gonna say it because I don't want to like spoil anything, but like I've already texted Shelby and I'm already pissed off about it. So
It was not necessary, honestly. Like,
and you're not the first person to say that to me either. So that really like kind of doubles down.
it's not in the grand scheme of things. It's not a big plot line for the rest of the book. It's like Sarah started that plot line and then was like, "Yeah, never mind. I don't want to talk about that anymore."
She's like, you know what? Actually,
I don't care.
I have not started a new audiobook, but I've been thinking about The Perfect Divorce by, I think it's Geneva Rose. Does that sound right? I read The Perfect Marriage, loved it, ate it up, and this is the sequel to that just came out, like, probably, I think, February. So I think that might be my next, like, thriller palate cleanser. Shows, pretty much still watching the same stuff. I have gotten back into Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I'm on season 4. Let's see.
I've never watched any of the Housewives series, but I feel like that's right up my alley.
It is. You would love it. You would absolutely love it. And then I'm also thinking about starting the 4 seasons on Netflix. I've heard really good things about that.
Oh, yeah, I saw that on Netflix.
And it's got like an all-star cast. It's like one of those that's like you see any of these people in a show, a movie, whatever, like it's going to be a hit, period. So might work that in.
Another show I watched like a month ago that I don't think we talked about on here was The Perfect Couple.
Okay. We talked about that privately.
Oh, okay. Yes.
But we didn't talk about it.
I thought it was great. So,
well, people who have seen the show and not read the book say that, but then people who have read the book and then saw the show don't agree. So I'm like, I haven't read the book. I haven't seen the show. I don't really know what I want to do. Because I love Ellen Hildebrand. Love her. Okay.
Okay, so this is season 1, episode 13. Come Fly With Me. This was I feel like a forgotten episode.
Yeah. It's one that kind of like blends into others. Like we've had a couple that we've covered that we thought one episode might be another episode and it ended up not being. None of what I just said made any sense. You know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying, yes. I know what you're saying. So we are looking at season 1, episode 13, Come Fly With Me. Original air date was June 1st, 2001.
Oh.
So we jumped a little bit ahead here. We were airing.
We did. Our last episode was a May premiere date.
Yes. So we're jumping ahead a little bit. I looked at an episode list of air dates, and there was like 3 weeks of no new episodes. So
interesting.
Who knows?
Maybe we were getting like DComs that week or something, and that's why.
DComs always came out at the beginning of summer. So
They did. They did,
yes. Or maybe they did that thing in like Dance Moms does, like in the middle of seasons where they just took a break for a few weeks and then aired. Maybe they did that. Who knows? How many episodes are in this season?
Like 30-something?
31, yeah. Okay. We still got always to go. Okay, so we start off at school and we hear this like big band jazz music playing, and Lizzie and Miranda are looking for Gordo, and Lizzie says, "Just follow the music and get ready to travel back in time," to Miranda. And then they walk up on Gordo, who's like sitting on top of a lunch table with like a fedora on, and he's like shaking his head to the beat, like snapping to the music, and they're like, "Hey, Gordo," and he says, "Hey, Pally Charlie, how's your birds?" And they're just like, "What?"
Blank stare.
And he said, "I just said, how's it going?" That's how they talked in Las Vegas in 1960. Like,
and I have to say, like, that right here off the bat, like, I don't think that the lounge culture and, like, that time frame that he's talking about match.
Okay, yeah, because the whole time I kept thinking, like, the 40s?
That was my thought. And maybe we're wrong, but, like, it just didn't seem...
But, like, I used to teach this unit in my history class. Hold on. Rat Pack. I'm looking this up right now.
We are a research-based podcast.
Yes, this says 1940s and 1950s.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that we're at least on the same page about that.
But yeah, it was like Las Vegas. But like when I think of like Frank Sinatra, I don't think of the 60s. I think of like the 40s. Again, we are a research-based podcast, so yeah, like I think of like this whole thing of not being in the 60s. I think of like the like black and white like mafia movies.
Yes.
That's not the 60s to me, I feel like.
No.
I feel like that's the 40s, but, you know, what do we know? Miranda says, can't you just talk normal? Like, hey, dog, what's the dealio? And Gordo says, that's how everybody talks. I'm not everybody. And that's our, like, theme for Gordo this whole episode. And Animated Lizzie, we get a flashback of Gordo doing different activities or hobbies that like not everybody is doing. Like she says, Gordo's definitely not everybody. He's always doing something different. Like when everybody was rollerblading, Gordo was riding a unicycle. Interesting. When everybody was into chocolate cappuccinos, he had a Zen rock garden. Like those don't go together, but you know, whatever.
No.
Like I could understand the rollerblading and the unicycle, but
no, it's like he should have been drinking like green juice or something.
Yeah, he should have been drinking matcha before it was cool.
Matcha.
His latest thing is this whole Rat Pack lounge culture stuff. It's a little weird for my taste, but who am I to tell Gordo what to do? And Lizzie says, Gordo, shouldn't you be listening to Britney Spears? Or Aaron Carter?
Yes.
And he's like, why would I do that? And Miranda says, that's what normal people listen to. And Lizzie says, we don't want people to think that you're weird. Gordo says, do me a solid, doll. Take this double sawbuck and grab me a platter. I got on tap. What?
I don't know. You know what? I probably should have gone through and tried to translate some of this because I don't have any idea what he says this entire episode. None.
Luckily,
None.
like, Lizzie and Miranda give him, like, a blank stare, and then he translates after.
Yeah.
So, Animated Lizzie says, I hope that means, thanks for the good advice. Here's $20, because he handed Lizzie and Miranda $20.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know why. And then he says the new Rat Pack CD is in at Get a Load of Discs. A CD store! Oh.
Oh, a relic.
Oh, yes. I was hoping you could pick it up for me after school. The age before instant downloads.
Yeah.
Lizzie says...
Also, it's not a new CD.
No, that's what I was thinking, too.
We just established that at minimum, this was 40 years ago. From the air date of this episode, this CD came out probably 40 years prior, if not longer.
Yeah, I was thinking that, too, when I was watching this. I was like, this is not a new CD, Gordo. Like, what are you talking about? We'll have to talk about Lizzie and Miranda's hair in just a sec. Don't let me forget. Lizzie says, why can't you pick it up? Are you headlining at Atlantic City?
And I said, good one.
Yes, good one. And then Gordo says, I've got something on my toe. I need to go to the podiatrist.
Nasty.
Ew! And Lizzie says she'll pick it up for him. And she says, but can you do me a favor? Go easy on this whole Rat Pack stuff. And Gordo says, go easy? How can you go easy with a romping cat like Frank? You gotta hear him swing, baby. That'll make old MacDonald jump. I'm a history teacher, and this blows my mind. And then he starts playing from a giant boombox, another relic.
Giant.
And the kid, like, yells from the background. He says, hey, stop playing that stuff. You're ruining my lunch.
And the voice of whatever kid says this sounds like he is in his mid-40s. This is not some prepubescent kid. This is like, hey, stop playing that stuff.
Yeah, that kid has at least 2 children.
Minimum.
Man has at least 2 children. So, but yes, we need to take a moment to talk about the hairdos that are going on here. Lizzie's was just the typical, like, part of it's curled, part of it's crimped, part of it's straight. Again, Hilary Duff just went into the makeup trailer and said, yes. And Miranda had, like, 2, they're, like, pigtails, but they're right here, but they were very teased, and there were blonde hairs coming out of it too. So
yeah, I did not clock that.
You had some
I saw Lizzie with the kerchief on, and I clocked nothing else.
Yes. But yeah, we get some hair in this episode.
We do.
Yes. Okay, after the theme song, we see Lizzie and Miranda on the bus, and in this scene, I had the thought of this was an episode I think that was filmed earlier than aired later than some of the other episodes, because we don't really see Lizzie and Miranda on the bus again, and that was a very early theme in the first few episodes. And then the Ethan Kraft's character was kind of reminiscent of his original bully character, and then turned idiot. Because we didn't really see Ethan being a dummy in this episode.
We didn't.
We see him being kind of an intimidating, normal-ish.
Cool, popular
guy, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I really noticed in this scene. So Miranda says, "Hey, did you get Gordo's CD?" And Lizzie said, "I told the clerk it's for my great-grandfather who's too frail to leave the home."
And we have to talk about hair here.
Yes. Oh
so Lizzie has orange and blue pom-poms in her hair, and Miranda has her usual pigtails, but she's got the only way I could think to describe them was fish scale, when we used to carry the bags that had the individual little sequins on them. It was like that, but in scrunchy form.
I didn't see that. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that. Oh my gosh, I missed those sequin bags.
Iconic. They were everything. What color was yours?
It was white, and then it was multicolored sequins.
Ooh.
Rainbow colors.
I had a hot pink one.
Oh, that one was cute. They started selling those at Anthropologie, not too long ago, maybe a year or two ago, and I don't think they took off.
Well, probably because Anthropologie had them priced at $90 or something absurd.
Mine was from Limited too.
Mine was probably from some kind of kiosk at the mall.
And then I texted my mom and I was like, "Where is my sequin purse?" And she said, "I have no idea." Update from last week. She does have Lisa the Beagle. She does indeed have Lisa the Beagle. She is in a Tupperware box in a garage. We're on the bus, and this kid, we only see this one time ever, named Vince.
Well, hang on. I think that this is the same kid from the election episode that was giving the atomic wedgie to the other one when Lizzie gave the cost of lunch speech. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay, so he's 30.
Yeah. If it's not the same guy, it's someone who looks scarily like him.
Oh, interesting. We'll have to do a comparison. So Vince snatches the CD from Lizzie, and Miranda's like, "Vince, give it back." And he says, "Ooh, I'm Miranda. I want my CD back." This is just middle school conversations. And they're like, "Give it back." And he says, "I'm Lizzie. I borrowed someone's CD." And then Miranda says she didn't borrow it. She got it for Gordo. "Oh, I'm Lizzie, and I'm in love with Gordo." And then Ethan, gets this close to Vince's face and is like, "Yo, Vince, give it up." And he's like, "Okay." And then here again, it's we're getting introduced to Ethan again, even though we've had some Ethan-heavy plot lines already.
Yeah.
Where animated Lizzie says, "Ethan Kraft is so totally hot." And then you can see her, heart beating out of her chest. And she says, "And I hope this doesn't get stuck this way." And then Ethan says, "This yours?" And then Lizzie says, "Thanks. Vince is a foot fungus." And then Ethan looks
second foot reference in the episode.
Ethan is looking at the CD and says, "Isn't this a million years old or something?"
Basically, Ethan. Basically.
Yeah, at least. Animated Lizzie says, "Great, I get a chance to talk to Ethan Kraft, and he thinks I like the music that my great-grandmother listened to." Ethan just has, this giant boombox with him on the bus, and he says, "Mind if I check it out?" And then he starts playing Gordo's Rat Pack CD, and he's, actually kind of vibing. He says, "Hey, this kind of rocks." And Lizzie and Miranda are just speaking gibberish at this point. Lizzie says, it's because it's not really the swinginess cut on the platter.
Huh?
And Miranda says, yeah, but with a romping cat like this guy, all the tunes are groovin' birds. Because she's just making this stuff up on the spot.
Yep. Flying by the seat of her pants.
Literally. So Ethan is impressed and says, you guys have cool taste. And then Lizzie's dressed in, animated Lizzie is dressed in like 1940s, big bouffant hair and like...
white go-go boots.
Yes. It says, I always thought so, Pally. And then Ethan says, hey, maybe we could hook up later. You know, hang out. And you guys can give me the 411. And they're like, yeah, sure, we're experts. Oh, Lord. The plot thickens. Okay, so we see them at school, and they're in the hall at their locker. I really liked Lizzie's denim skirt here. It was like the dark pattern mixed with the light pattern.
It's like two-toned.
Yes, that's something I remember her wearing several times. There was
we also get pink clogs in this episode. Like last episode we had orange clogs, and this episode they're pink.
I may just have to go order some clogs. That mix of light denim and dark denim long skirts was, if you remember, did you ever play the games on DisneyChannel.com?
Always.
You know, there was a game where you could dress them.
Yes.
That was on there. That's how I remember that skirt.
Yes.
So Gordo comes up to them and says, hey guys. And then Lizzie says, how's your corn pone?
Your guess is as good as mine.
How's your corn pone, baby? And then Gordo says, where did you learn that? And Lizzie says, Miranda says, we read the back of this album. This Sinatra cat was one Mother Gasser. What are they saying?
I don't know.
Gordo says, you guys aren't just ragging on me, are you? And they're like, no, we actually listened to it, and it's growing on us. And then Miranda starts dragging Gordo. And it's like, trust me, there are many other things we could rag on you for. And then she says, for instance, you watch movies with subtitles. There's nothing wrong with that. I do that.
I think she's probably implying that he's watching, like, foreign films with English subtitles, but, like,
okay.
I do have to say, shout out to subtitles. I'm a subtitle squirrel.
I can't hear without my subtitles.
I can't hear without my subtitles.
So, Lizzie and Gordo are trying to have a conversation, and Miranda keeps, like, interjecting and, like, roasting Gordo. And, Lizzie's asking Gordo for help about the Rack Pack. Again, Miranda says, your middle name is Zephyr. What's that about?
That just made me think of the brand of water, Zephyr Hills bottled water.
And then, again, they're trying to talk about Rat Pack stuff, and Miranda just keeps going. She goes, there's the way you blink your eyes so much. Gordo says, I don't blink too much. And Miranda says, you always blink. And she's like, you just did it. You just did it again.
And he says, it's because you're making me think about it. And I'm like, relatable. Because if you said something like that to me, I would be like, blink, 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 blink.
All right, so now we get the B plot with Matt. And Matt, and is this the first time we're seeing Lanny?
I think this is the first time we get Lanny.
Lanny. So we see them, like, catching a ball back and forth, and Joe and Sam walk up looking like they just got back from the Lowe's Garden Center, and ask what they're up to, and they're trying to break the world record for the longest netball game. And this is, like, their thing. They're trying to break records this episode. And they're trying to talk to Lanny, and they keep asking him questions, and he just stares at him. Like,
and Matt answers on his behalf.
Yes, because Matt can interpret Lanny's silence.
Correct.
And then Sam's like, that's creepy. And Joe says, maybe he's just shy. Well, you guys have fun, and let us know if you need anything, okay? Blank stare from Lanny. And then they start playing their little game again. Okay, so we get back at school, and Lizzie and Miranda look like they just got, like, back from a school play.
These outfits.
These outfits and the hair.
So Lizzie is in a lime green and orange top that has like daisies, butterflies, and like geometric swirls on it. And then she's wearing orange sunglasses on top of her head as like a statement accessory with a yellow scarf around her neck. And that seems to be Lizzie's like signature piece of style through the whole episode, is a scarf tied around her neck that matches the outfit, whereas Miranda's signature piece of style is like layered beaded necklaces that match her outfit. And we get the bouffant again.
Literally, like, how long did it take you to tease that?
What was the hair and makeup budget for this episode? And wardrobe, too. We get more outfits in this episode than we have probably collectively the entire series so far.
That's what I was thinking, too, when I was picking up my favorite outfit. I was like, there's so many outfits. So much
Literally,
hair.
how do you choose?
So much hair, too. And how early did they have to wake up to get ready for school dressed like that?
Probably crazy early.
That's insane. So Gordo says, you guys look like you just got back from Acapulco. And Miranda says, crazy rags, huh? And then Lizzie says, hey, Adam? Who's Adam? Except Adam Lambert, who plays Gordo.
I didn't even think about that. I thought I just assumed it was whoever was next to her on the lunch line.
Oh. Wait, she did kind of, like, turn and, like, talk to somebody, and they were like, what is she... And you could see them in the background look like, what is she talking about?
What is a corn pone?
I'm not gonna go.
I knew you were about to Google it.
I've got to know. Corn pone. It's cornbread. It's literally circular cornbread.
Wait.
Wait. This is not how we make cornbread at my Mimi's house.
Cast iron.
Cornbread is fluffier. Corn pone is thicker and denser. Whatevs.
Okay.
We digress. And Gordo is starting to get concerned. He says, hey guys, it's really cool that you guys are really into this, but please don't make it a big deal. I don't want it to turn into some dopey fad that every idiot does because he thinks it's trendy, like Ricky Martin or digital pets. And then Lizzie's like, don't worry, we're not the trendsetters around here. And Miranda says, digital pets were fun. It's so sad when mine died. Did you have a digital pet?
No.
I had a Neopet.
I did have Neopets. I was
into my Neopets.
Into it. I was on Neopets around the clock.
Oh, yes. And, like, I remember going on vacation and, like, assigning my friends to feed my Neopets. Because we didn't have, like, phones back then.
Yeah.
Like, so someone had to feed my Neopets for me. So we see Ethan now in, like, a ray of golden light surrounding him. He says, hey, Lizzie. Hey, Miranda. And he's got his hair slicked back, like they did in the 1940s, I guess. And he says, yo, Gordo, just noticing your shirt. Very Mac Daddy. And he says, thanks. And he's like, where'd you get it? And Gordo says it was a gift. And he doesn't know, like, where she got it. And then Lizzie and Miranda spill the beans and say... They got these clothes at Anteater over on Lexington Street, and they had a lot of guy stuff, too. And Miranda. And they accept all major credit cards.
Like, okay, Miranda, are you getting a commission?
Hashtag ad. And then we see we see Ethan walk off, and then he says to his friends back at his lunch table, come on, Steve, we're going to Anteater. Because now all the cool kids are doing the Rack Pack stuff. All right, so we see Matt and Lanny again. We see them looking through the world record book, and they're, ruling out things that they know is not going to work for them. And then they settle on world's largest pancake, which I have questions about. What is the world's largest pancake? Where do they make it? How do they make it? And so that one doesn't work out for them, and they have a skillet with a burnt pancake in it, and then run it directly underwater. And
they're both covered in, like, pancake batter.
Yes, and steam just goes everywhere. And he says, don't tell my mom. All right, so now we're back at school. We see Lizzie, Gordo, and Miranda walking down the stairs. And Gordo's talking about Frank Sinatra biography that was on the night before. He says, he spent more money on hats than my entire house. And then...
And the outfits here.
Oh, yes.
Here, Lizzie is in a green and blue top with blue capris, a blue ribbon in her hair, and then the blue scarf. And Miranda is in an orange dress that's got little, like, flower appliques on the chest.
Oh,
and then the orange beaded necklaces. But here I clocked that Miranda is wearing combat boots. And Miranda's wearing combat boots through the whole episode. So she just, like, doesn't, like, match her shoes, I guess, to the outfits. Like, she's just, like, the boots are it.
The boots are it, yes. So they walk down the stairs, and Gordo clocks that everybody is dressed in Rat Pack clothing. And Animated Lizzie says, you gotta hand it to the kids at our school. They sure can jump on a bandwagon. And it's a good thing that Gordo's CD wasn't banjo music, because we'd all be dressed like hillbillies. Let me just say, if I was at school one day, and it was not a dress-up day for, like, homecoming or a football game, and I just saw the kids dressed like this, I would be like, what is happening? Like, what is going on? Why are they all dressed like this? Lizzie is trying to, like, be like, Gordo, this is great. Everybody loves what you started. And they're like, oh, gosh, Kate's coming. And Kate says she needs help from Lizzie and Miranda. And she says, people are talking about you, too. She has her sweet voice on.
Ugh.
She's like, people are talking about you, too. It was very reminiscent of Dance Moms Jill, season 2. When she talked very sweet.
Yes.
And Miranda says, yeah, well, it's all lies.
Before she even knows what Kate is, like,
yes.
about to ask them.
Yes. Miranda had some good lines this episode.
She did.
And then Kate says, they're saying you guys started all this cool lounge stuff, that you were the first ones. And then they're like, yeah, that was us, but Gordo actually started it, and we just ran with it. And Kate says, well, whoever started it, you three were ahead of the curve. And you know the most about it, which means I need your help. And then Animated Lizzie is like, got her pointy finger out. And she's like, well, little Miss Popular needs our help. She's going to have to beg. She's going to have to grovel. She's going to have to get down on her knees and beg. And real life Lizzie says, yeah, what do you need? And then Kate says she's on the dance committee, and it would be fun to have a Rack Pack theme, and that it could help planets.
Here I clock that she says, this month's dance theme. And I was like, wait, do they have monthly dances at this school? What's the budget? What is
the budget? What's the budget? That's insane. Well, we know that one wasn't a dance. There's a couple other dance episodes. I can't think of off the top of my head, but we do see quite a few dance episodes. And then Lizzie and Miranda are trying to, like, play it cool, and they're like, yeah, like, I guess we could help. And they're like, yeah, we got some free time. And then Kate says, great, it should be a ding-dong time. And then Gordo gets so mad and says,
viscerally angry.
Is bring a ding-ding. Which I said, I think this was funny, when we were coming up with, names for our podcast, we were thinking of outfit repeaters. When I was watching this, I was like, me and Megan could be a ding-dong time. Because we are two ding-dongs.
Give two ding-dongs a microphone and see what happens. That's actually this podcast.
Yes.
We're glad you're here.
We're glad you're here, yes. So, maybe in another life, we had a podcast called A Ding-Dong Time. Okay, and then Kate says, whatever, it'll be fun. And then she walks off. And then Lizzie and Miranda are super excited, and they're like, Gordo, we can use those Las Vegas posters that you got. Oh, this is going to be so awesome. And Gordo pulls a 180 and says, if you ask me, the idea of the Rack Pack dance couldn't be any stupider. See you around, Pally. Yikes.
Gordo. This honestly makes him just as bad as the other kids. Like, him not wanting anything to do with this trend that he was so into because other people like it is just as bad as other people liking it because other people like it.
Right, exactly. Exactly. So we don't really see Gordo's house a lot, but we have a scene at Gordo's house, and Lizzie goes up to his room and says, "Your mom brought up some cupcakes." And he says, "No, one of her patients baked those. She lives in a one-bedroom apartment with 28 cats."
Ew.
And animated Lizzie's like, "Just what I need, a hairball."
No wonder that patient's in therapy.
Which, I love my cats. I literally love them so much. They are my children. I have 3. But 28 in a one-bedroom apartment, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Can't imagine. That's animal hoarding. And Lizzie is there to do homework, and she says, "I hope you understand this geography homework, because I don't see what job I could possibly ever have that would require me to know anything about Bolivia." And Gordo's like, "Ambassador to Bolivia?"
Okay, but that's the one and only job, Gordo.
Yeah, what are the odds she's going to get that? And we see Gordo, like, playing around with some of these, like, model planes. And Lizzie says, "I thought you thought those were goofy." And he's like, "Yeah, that's what I thought. But they're actually kind of cool." And then he, like, goes on to about how important they were during World War II. And she goes, "Wow, that's so cool." Well, anyways, everyone's really excited about the whole Rat Pack dance. And Gordo is not thrilled. And she says, "Oh, come on. I know you don't like dancing, but it could still be fun." And Gordo says, "I'm not dancing." Well, he goes, "It's not the dancing. It's just, I'm not into that whole Rat Pack stuff anymore." And then animated Lizzie says, "Not into it? That's nuts." Everyone can just calm down, please. And then they start going back and forth about how much Gordo loved Rat Pack, and now he doesn't. Now he loves radio-controlled planes. And she's like, "How could you just give up something that you love?" And then he goes, "Fine, I'll tell you why. It's because you and Miranda got Ethan Kraft into it, and then he got everybody else into it. When Kate Sanders likes something, it's officially a mindless fad, and I don't want to be in any part of it." And then Lizzie says, "Gordo, I think Kate might actually really like it." She doesn't. Gordo says, "She thinks it's ding-dong. The phrase is ring-a-ding-ding. It was code for living life on your own terms. A ding-dong is a chocolate-covered devil's food cake treat that is intended for mass consumption. And I'm not into mass consumption. Let's do homework."
I think the title of this episode is A Ding Dong Time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I, for one, love mass consumption.
Same.
I'm a self-proclaimed overconsumer, and I'm sorry. It's just who I am, okay?
Like, when you see those things on TikTok that's like, I'm sorry, I love being like other girls.
Yes.
I love my fun little drinks and my stupid water bottles and my hot girl walks and my 100 lip balms, and I love it. I love it. I want to be like other girls.
I want to be just like other girls.
Same,
because girls support girls.
Exactly.
That's women supporting women. I'm going to go home, I'm going to go get an Alani later, and then I'm going to have my Stanley, and I'm going to have my cute little drink.
Amazing. I love it.
And I'm going to enjoy every second of it.
Same.
And then I'm going to go put on a matching workout set, and I'm going to go on a hot girl walk.
Yeah. And then I'm going to come home and do a full skincare routine with a mask.
I'm going to do an everything shower.
An everything shower.
I'm going to put on my self-tanner.
Yes. Marinate.
I'm going to marinate in it. And then I'm going to go and live my life and have a reset Sunday.
I love it. I love being like other girls.
And you know what else I'm going to do today? I'm going to wash my makeup brushes.
Oh. Okay, she baddie.
Yes. I've been trying to do that more because it's something I feel like I should do.
Same.
Okay, well, now that we're off of our soapbox for the week. So we see Matt and Lanny again trying to...
I have a note about animated Lizzie in the last
I missed that.
line of this scene.
Okay.
So animated Lizzie says, "Great, I ruined Gordo's hobby and I ate a cat hair cupcake." And here animated Lizzie pulls a full cat out of her mouth.
Oh, it was gray like Stella. Stella's my cat. Okay, so now we see Matt and Lanny trying to get through various world records. And one, I guess they're trying to be like the most heavy man in the
Yeah.
world.
World's
And
heaviest man. And
world's
Lanny's
heaviest-
just like shoveling potato chips.
Yes. And Matt says, you only have 674 more pounds to go.
Yikes.
And then they try to run up and down the stairs, which sounds miserable. They said they have to run up and down the stairs for 13 hours and 4 minutes. Absolutely horrendous. I go up one flight of stairs and I'm winded.
Same.
So, and that's a lot of stairs at the McGuire home. I would be out of breath.
Same.
All right, so now we're at school and we see all of the kids. Did you see that we got like a shot from the back of the classroom where you see all of the kids dressed in Rat Pack clothing?
Yes. And on the chalkboard, she's got it like categorized as to like things to wear, things to like say, songs, like different.
Treats, yes.
Yeah.
And then so we see that literally all of the girls in there have like bouffant hair. And now Kate does as well. And she says, Friday's dance will be titled Lounging Around. I thought it would be really lounge to have those little plastic champagne and martini glasses for punch. Savannah, you'll be in charge of that. Lizzie, since you're the expert, we're going to need a list of songs for the DJ to play. Lizzie says, no problem. And then she leans over to Miranda and says, got any idea what those songs are? And then she says, oh, and we're going to have a costume contest. Miranda, we'll need a list of outfits that the judges should be looking for. And she's like, you got it. And then she leans over and says, you know what those are. And then Kate says, we're going to need all of this by tomorrow.
Oh, and we have outfits here.
Yes. This was my favorite outfit from Lizzie, I think.
So Lizzie is in a polka dot top that's got like purple, blue, and then like kind of olive green. It's either olive or like beige, you can't really tell, dots. And then she's got her purple scarf. And then you don't get a full body shot of her until a little bit later, but she does have on purple pants with like a purple like beaded like chain belt, which I thought was interesting because that's very clearly like a 2000s thing that she's like added to this outfit, but still very cute. And she's got an extremely deep like side part with like swooped
The swoopy
bangs. And Miranda is wearing a rainbow striped top that's kind of like textured, like kind of almost looks like it has like a yarn texture. And she's got a bow pinned to one side of her hair and then like a collage of flowers pinned to the other side of her head.
The flowers took me out.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, this was my favorite outfit, I think, of the episode, was the purple pants with the corresponding matching top.
Yeah.
Okay, so they said, we've got to get Gordo to give us the scope on this stuff. And they said, we can ask him. I don't think he's going to be too crazy about helping us. And then Miranda says, he has to. It's the dance committee. They could do stuff to us. Lizzie and Miranda find Gordo at a place where he's flying his airplanes, which looks just like a big slab of concrete.
I think it's just like behind, it looks like it's behind whatever like sports field, I don't know, like football field or whatever, because you can see like chain link fence and bleachers. But then, yeah, it's just like a concrete slab otherwise.
Lizzie says, remember, Gordo's not that wild about this whole Rat Pack dance, so let me do the talking and take it slow, okay? And Miranda's looking around, she's like, this is the dorkiest hobby ever. And then she says, hey, Gordo, how's the plane coming along? It looks really cool. And he says, I can't get the engine started. And she says, oh, well, you will. So how fast do these things fly? And then Gordo's like, if I ever get one off the ground, I'll let you know. And then Miranda's like, looking at her like, can you get to the point? Miranda cuts to the chase, and she says, we need a list of 20 Frank Sinatra tunes, pictures of clothes that people wore back then, and the Rat Pack's favorite food. And then and Lizzie's like, excuse you? And she was like, what can I say? I cut to the chase. And Gordo snaps back and says, the Sinatra songs were called Leave Me Alone. People used to wear I Don't Care, and their favorite food was Goodbye.
And here I have to point out that all three of them are sitting in like a circle on the concrete, and you get, while they're having this conversation, people like running in between them, chasing their planes. At least one of the people that's running in between them is a middle-aged man. What are you doing at the school? What are you doing at the school?
Sir.
There's children here.
Maybe it's someone's dad.
Maybe.
And then they're trying to reason with Gordo, and they're like, come on, Gordo, you love this stuff. And he's like, what? You guys are the big Rat Pack fans here. You should know all this stuff. And Lizzie's like, no, you're the fan, and you know it. He says, not anymore. It's not since you guys made it a big fad. Now I'm stuck with this lame-o hobby. And she says, you're not stuck with it, and you don't have to do it if you don't want to. It's not our fault that the other kids like the music and stuff. And then Gordo's like, it's your fault for spreading it around. Oh, Ethan, you can get the Rat Pack clothes at Anteater. And then Miranda says, we can't help it if you refuse to like something just because other people do. And Gordo said, it's called being your own person. And Lizzie says, it's called being an idiot, okay? It's ridiculous to do some airplane thing that you hate instead of doing some Rat Pack thing that you love. And Miranda says, it makes a good point here. Besides, why isn't anyone else allowed to like Frank Sinatra? That's a good point, Miranda.
I knew people like this, like, growing up, too. That, like, as soon as someone else showed any kind of interest in something they liked, they're like, I'm out. I don't want anything to do with this anymore.
It could not be me. I was like,
we're not
what's
gatekeepers.
The trend?
Girls aren't gatekeepers.
No. I was like, what's the trend? What are we doing this week? Everyone else had Toms in high school? Me too.
Same.
Me too. Wallabies, fairies, had them all. Gordo says they don't even really like him, meaning Frank Sinatra. They're just following the trends. Or Gordo's words were, mindless trendoids following the herd.
And here we get the herd mentality again.
Oh my gosh, Gordo.
From episode 1.
And he said, I can make up my own mind. I'm not some superficial popularity junkie, which Lizzie takes offense to. And she says,
as she should.
Yeah, I agree. And she says, and what, we are? And Gordo says, I don't know. I'm not the one helping Kate Sanders with her dance. And then Lizzie pops off. She says, no, you're not. But I'm not the one sitting here hanging out with a bunch of propeller-headed weirdos trying to get some powdered egg and rubber plane off the ground. And you don't even like it. And then Gordo takes his plane and starts, like, shoving it at Lizzie's face. And he's like...
like, go away.
And she's like, fine, enjoy being a lone wolf. She says, come on, we have a dance to plan. So now we see back at the McGuire house. Now we see Matt and Lanny are stretching something. And Sam says, I don't think they're getting in the book with this one. Whether it's like some sticky substance, rubber bands, gum, something. And we see that they make it to 8 feet, but they need to make it to 30 miles to set the record.
Yep.
And then whatever it was, it pops, and Lanny flies backwards. And Sam was like, ooh, saw that one coming. And then Matt starts to get down and out, and he said, this is so stupid. No matter what we do, it doesn't work. I know we're both big losers, and this is our 38th try, and we've got nothing. And then Jo, in her excellent parenting again, says, did you say 38 record attempts? And she kind of looks at Sam like, go along with me here. Yeah, go along with me here. And he's like, yeah, and then Jo says, just as I thought, there's no record for the most consecutive failed attempts. And Matt's like, what? Totally buying it. And then Sam's like, hey, you guys set a whole new record. Isn't that great, Lanny? And Lanny, blank stare. And then Matt says, we set a record, Lanny. We set a record. And then Jo says, I'm so proud of you, aren't you, Sam? And Sam says, you bet. You kids are American heroes. And American heroes get ice cream. And Matt says, all right, I want triple fudge. And then Sam says, what flavor do you want, Lanny? And then Matt very seriously says, Lanny likes pumpkin. Only pumpkin. Which I was like, pumpkin ice cream? Okay, hope it's fall. Hope it's in season.
I know. That's what I thought, too. That, like, usually that's, I mean, at least around here, that's only, like, a seasonal choice.
Yes. So then we see the girls at the dance, and everybody's got their Rat Pack costumes on. And Ethan says, yo, Lizzie, Miranda, awesome dance, Coolsville. And then Miranda says, right back at you, sunshine. And Lizzie says, you betcha, Pally, the living ends. Don't know what that means. And then Kate's like, let's dance, Ethan. Trying to steal them away.
Obviously.
Miranda says, I can't believe it. I mean, Ethan Kraft is noticing us, and everybody knows that we made this dance happen, but I'm still not having fun. Here we get the life lesson of the episode. And Lizzie says, me either, and I can't figure out why. And then animated Lizzie says, it's that stinking Gordo. And that's why. He's a dirty fink. He's bringing us down just because he thinks that we stole his hobby. And we let that crybaby cry. Get that out of my face, you punk, because this is like Lizzie in one of those like mafia movies, and she has like a mafia hat on, and
it's like a camera flashing in her face over and over again.
And she like pushes the camera and she's like, get that out of my face, you punk, like a mafia man. And Miranda says, it's our fault that Gordo isn't here. And Lizzie says, well, if he wants to spend his valuable time flying airplanes, then that's his problem, which I support that. Which, if he wanted to be there, he would. And then Miranda says, let's forget about him and have fun. And so they try to start dancing. And
they literally do the same one move over and over again.
I saw that too. I noticed that. Like a whole like...
The arms up over the head.
Yes. Oh my gosh. We'll have to do that next time we're together and post it.
Just like 3 or 4 times in a row.
And then Lizzie says, okay, I know this is stupid. It doesn't make any sense. I just feel like if Gordo can't enjoy this, I can't either. And then Miranda says, yeah, it really ticks me off. You want to get out of here? And then they start leaving and see that a crowd has gathered round the entrance. And Gordo has come in his Rat Pack outfit with the fedora, the suits. And he says, let's start the action. Nice to see you, Pally. Cool threads, sugar lips. Hey, yeah, Smokey. How's your Bell and Howell? Dollface. You make me feel like a spring has sprung. Hey, Charlie Bones. Hitting the gasoline pretty good here, ain't ya? All of that's gibberish to me.
Correct.
And they're like, oh
cool
my gosh.
Threads. I know what cool threads means.
I know what cool threads means, yes. And they're like, oh my gosh, Gordo, you're here. And he's like, yeah, I accidentally flew my plane into the street and it got run over by an SUV. And Miranda says, I thought you said we were a bunch of mindless trendoids following the herd. And Gordo's like gaslighting them, and he's like, I never said that. And they're like, yeah, you did. And he goes, wasn't me, must have been somebody else. And they're like, we were there, Gordo. And he was like, nope, you're mistaken. You guys, and he says, I'm lucky enough to have friends who point out to me that I shouldn't give something up just to be different. And Lizzie says, well, we're lucky enough to have a hardcore nonconformist who totally doesn't care what anybody thinks about what he likes. And they're like, good, now that's settled. Let's have fun. Gordo says, fun's what it's all about, baby.
And then we get a little dance sequence of David. I mean, his name is David, but we get a little dance sequence of Gordo and the girls. Very cute.
Very cute, yes. This one was a good one. And then we have outtakes.
Yeah.
The one that stood out to me was the fact that Hilary Duff could not walk in and get the line of, hey, Gordo, your mom
sent up cupcakes.
Hey, Gordo, your mom sent up cupcakes. She could not get that line.
She couldn't.
So we kind of saw that same take like 5 times.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. What are your thoughts?
Loved. I said it last episode, and I'll say it again, is that I think that this is probably going to be one of the unsung heroes of this next 10 episode block, one that we kind of forgot about a little bit, but was really enjoyable, lots of fashion. My favorite outfit was probably Lizzie with the lime green and orange top with the flowers and the butterflies, and then the orange sunglasses on her head when they were in the lunch line.
Yes, I think my favorite, I said a few minutes ago, was the purple pants with the
polka dot top.
The polka dot top. And I really loved that Lizzie incorporated the neck scarf. I want to be a neck scarf girl.
Yes, same.
They're so cute. Okay, what's your favorite line of the episode?
I thought about it, and now I can't remember.
Mine was
it was Lizzie saying, are you headlining in Atlantic City?
Mine is a ding-dong time.
A ding-dong time. And there we are, 2 ding-dongs with microphones.
We should put that in our show description.
2 ding-dongs with microphones.
Yeah. Next we have Random Acts of Miranda.
I have no idea what that might even be about, so maybe that'll be.
Okay, I clicked on the the synopsis. It's when Miranda joins the school play and is not very good at acting.
Okay.
And Lizzie
okay.
writes either
Yes, at the
review.
school newspaper, like, article review or whatever, where she, like, has to be honest, and Miranda's like, you couldn't have just, like, lied.
Yeah, lied.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that is all we have for you guys this week. If you liked this episode and like our show, please subscribe and rate us 5 stars on whatever platform you listen. We are the Outfit Repeaters Pod on all socials. And until next week,
We're outie.
bye.